very good afternoon to you, our cherished and discerning listeners. It's another beautiful and blessed Wednesday, and we are excited to bring you yet another exciting edition of your favorite business development program on Radio Masterclass. Masterclass is powered by Joy Business and brought to us by Goyle. Goyle Good Energy, Goyle Yenara Yedia. Masterclass also brought to us by Lancaster University. They boast of being the only British university campus in all of West Africa. My name, as always, is Yabanafo, and I'm excited to bring you today's edition of Masterclass. In the last couple of weeks, we've been having a great conversation on project management. Latif shared some wonderful thoughts with us, and the conclusion we had was that pretty much everything we do in life is some form of project because it has a beginning and it has an end. Good afternoon to you, Latif, if you're listening, and to all those who listen to us here on the show or who missed it. Videos are available on our Facebook page. We will also be streaming live on Facebook today with our conversation. Today, we want to start a new conversation, one of those things that has sort of colored all discussions across all fora, if you like. And this is what has been brought on today. I say one of the effects of COVID-19. I like to say COVID-19 because it's the greatest sort of catalyst that has brought this conversation on. And we're looking at the future of work. The future of work. You know, I tried to look up a couple of definitions of the phrase work, and maybe sometime in the conversation I will be sharing some thoughts on that. If you have any idea, I'd like you to write these things down so that when we do get interactive, you pick up that phone, give us a call, or share your comment. What would be the difference that you think is between the phrase employment or the word employment, a job, or work? Because of the conversation that we're going to be having today. Today, we're going to be joined by another wonderful gentleman. I always say that the people that we bring here on the show, we take our time to bring them because they are experts in their own field of endeavor, and they come here to share thoughts with us, information with us that you would have otherwise had to pay for, sit in a lecture, log on to some portal, pay some USD, currency to be able to get. But they come here and they share this with us because we want to make your business successful and want to make Ghana great and strong. I'll be sharing his name shortly, but he's a gentleman. He has a long resume. One of those resumes that I always say that when I grow up, I want to be like him. I had the privilege of talking to him yesterday. I'm introducing him shortly, and he's a wonderful person. He started his career in insurance and risk management and had stints with Aon Risk Services, the Miller Insurance Group, and the Norwich Union. His CV is so long. I'm going to try. He's the director of LIP Partners Africa and the director of the Center for Executive and Professional Development, CEPD, in London. He's also been in entrepreneurship and the innovation space. He's a co-founder of the Hatchery and Coral Reef Innovation Labs, which help early stage ventures and business planning and modeling. I'm trying to find which part of his CV. He's also the director of Impact Investments Social Innovation Africa and the director and founding partner of Redefines Energy Limited and a bulk distributing company. He does so many things, but I will just mention his name and he will tell us a bit more about himself on the resume I have read. My guest for this conversation and the next 4 weeks is Mr. Richard Osei Enim. Richard, you're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Richard,
for
who are
inviting
you? Who are you and what do you do? for the benefit of my listeners, so that they can put you in a certain box in their mind.
Right. Okay.
Who are you and what do you do?
So, I mean, my background is quite eclectic. So, I've had all sorts of stints in insurance, risk management. I've been in academia. I was an adjunct lecturer in Greenwich University. I did Greenwich Community College, CIBT, and so on. But I've had stints in the petroleum space, entrepreneurship, innovation. But in the last 3 years, my focus has been on education, education technology. I keep going back to education for some strange reason. I think there are quite a lot of my kith and kin involved in education. If you go to Kukrantumi right now, my grandfather started the primary school there with the Catholics about 70 years ago. So I think education has always been lurking somewhere in the space. So the last 3 years we've been, as Coral Reef, have been involved in education technology. Digitalizing, I always have to take my time and say, digitalizing schools across Ghana in the private space. So certain smart labs in those environments. Kind of an interesting exercise because then you're looking at dealing with kids, introducing them to technology and the impact of what you do on the future of work and skills. So the foundation for the future of work and skills is actually education technology. I was telling you earlier that you are letting me do a whole semester course
In
in
4
4 weeks. 10 minutes presentation,
man.
and we sort of
My
get on. But
students are smart. These
we'll
are
try
CEOs and business owners. They are smart.
yes.
But I'm smiling for a reason. And if you are like me, you have a curious mind like me. And if you're watching us live on Facebook, if you're not watching on Facebook, please by all means go and watch it. I'm smiling because if you are like me, you see how you are struggling. You are listening to Richard, and you are still struggling to put him in a certain box. You don't know what exactly he does. That's exactly the conversation that we're going to have today. Richard is going to tell us in the next 15 to 20 years, the top 10 jobs that are going to be relevant because of all that is going on with all this digitization. So it's no longer the traditional things you see. Things are going to change, and they're going to change really fast. And Richard is already there. That's why you can't seem to tell exactly what he does. It took me 3 hours yesterday when I was putting myself together. So this man, what does he do? He's everywhere.
What they call a portfolio career. So yes, at the tender age of 19 or 20, when I was considering university, I think I didn't get proper career advice because I ended up in a space that ordinarily I think I'm suited to a litigious environment like law. But I didn't get that kind of. But here I am. Yes.
Ready for the future.
Okay. So I mean, my career has gone through different, and also maybe underneath there somewhere is some entrepreneurial gene lurking behind the scenes that spurs me on.
Interesting. So here's what I have found. I did a bit of research. So Wikipedia tells me that employment, those 3 things I asked you to check for me. When we get interactive, I'd like your feedback on that. Employment is a relationship between 2 parties, usually based on a contract where work is paid for. This is according to Wikipedia. A job is something that a person does regularly to earn money. This is according to Merriam-Webster. And work is an activity such as a job, or uses the word job here, which requires exertion of your mental or physical faculties. So again, there's sort of some similarity between all the 3. But today we're talking about the future of work. You can call it the future of employment or the future of jobs. Whatever it is not going to be the same if you are going to be here in the next 15, next 20, 25 years. Things are going to be significantly different. And so here's some additional information for us. According to a report by McKinsey, COVID-19 has accelerated existing trends across the world and has brought on new things like remote work, like e-commerce, and like automation. Again, in that same report, it talks about the fact that more than 25% of employees than previously estimated are now looking to switch occupations. So hitherto, they were doing something else. But now more than 25% of people who used to do other things are now looking to do different things as a result of what happened with COVID-19 and as a result of the emergence in remote work, e-commerce, and automation. Things are changing across the world. According to the 2016 Future of Jobs report from the World Economic Forum and World Economic Forum, fundamental skills like critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making are now going to become the building blocks and form the framework of what we call the future of work to help employees. So clearly, everything that we know, we have known, we have done is going to change. Over the next 4 weeks, we'll be looking at a lot of information. Today, we're going to be focusing on the future of work and the skills set that is required. And Richard is going to be taking us through that. We're streaming live on Facebook. By all means, do follow us for those of us who like to take notes. And when we get interactive, you can ask all your questions. So, Richard, I'll hand over to you now. I know we have some slides.
Yes.
You may not be able to go through all of them.
No.
But just sort of follow through so that people can follow the conversation for flow of thought and for chronology.
Yeah, I mean, just your summary alone, I think we finished the show. We can go home now. But you're talking about the differences and the changes that have sort of happened the last 18 months. I've got friends that have just gone back to work after 18 months working from home.
From home.
There's this what they call the Great Resignation, the Great Awakening, YOLO economy. You only live once economy. So employees are now dictating to their employers globally. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening in Ghana yet, but in certain parts of the globe, employees are dictating the kind of hours that they will work. They are negotiating and bargaining a lot more harder in terms of their wages and so on, and their holidays and so on and so forth. So the McKinsey report is so spot on. The World Economic Forum, which I'll be quoting copiously from, has been like the Bible as far as the future of work is concerned. I'll run through some slides. So this week, really, we're looking at the global view. Week 2 and 3, I would like to focus on basic education, starting from early childhood, secondary education, and tertiary, and how that impacts on the future of work. And then the final week, we will actually look at some practical case studies and see how your listeners could sort of pick some ideas from what we're talking about.
I love the case studies because they bring the conversation home.
Absolutely.
And people are able to sort of put themselves in the context of all the conversations that have taken place.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for this one, maybe you can ask them this question. If an algorithm replaced their jobs today, what would they do?
Please, write down that question. Write down your answer to this question when we get interactive.
If you woke up this morning and our algorithm had replaced you, what would you do? You and I mean...
I'm quiet because I'm thinking about it.
So what would you do if an algorithm replaced you and the work you do? COVID has obviously accelerated digitalization, automation. These two words, AI, not artificial intelligence, but automation and innovation. Automation tends to disrupt, okay, where it causes lots of confusion. People tend to have low skills and so on that will lose their jobs. Innovation tends to create opportunity for new types of jobs. So even though industries are changing, businesses are changing, and there are all sorts of revolutions happening because of the emergence of technology. Where automation displaces people, innovation creates a plug, and in some cases creates as many as maybe sometimes as much as 25% increase in jobs. So this whole thing about robots replacing human beings, and so yes, there are certain aspects of our lives that we will have some interventions from robots. But I mean, throughout time, anytime you introduce technology, is the shift or the structural change means that people need to look at how they change their skills to fit the new paradigms that are being created. So my favorite slide, I'm not sure if they're showing the slides, but decoding the economics of COVID-19. This was one of my favorite slides during at the height of.
Which number slide is it? Sort of the
this is slide 4.
Okay.
Slide 4, decoding the economics of COVID-19.
So the production team has put that slide up now.
Okay.
On Facebook, if you're watching.
Okay. So it goes through several industries, about 14 different industries: tourism and leisure, aviation and maritime, automotives. It starts from a red, and then it turns into yellow, and then light green, all the way to green, deep green. It actually talks about potential losers and winners in a COVID paradigm. So aviation, I'm sure you saw planes. I mean, Emirates is my favorite airline, and when we weren't able to travel, you could see at the Dubai International Airport, I mean, planes, just what you call it, parked, and nobody going anywhere. You know, the hit on the aviation industry was just phenomenal.
It was huge.
Automotives, car. I mean, nobody was buying. Where are you going? Where are you going?
You're staying in one place.
Yes.
You're in a lockdown.
Construction and real estate. A friend of mine is in real estate, and nobody was buying any houses during that period. Manufacturing, again, depending on what sort of manufacturing we're talking about. Smart manufacturing, where that also sort of went. Financial services. Then suddenly everybody was involved in selling something. We became a nation of merchants. Sure. Okay, so people brand something in Katiboga, stick it on Instagram. They have a Momo account. There's a courier that can deliver. They're in business. Okay, that's an example.
It even looks nicer on the branding than when you receive the package.
So those were some of the things that education. my mother runs a school, and she shut down, and no fees, lots of education, and the ramifications of that still is still going
It
on.
lingers on.
Yeah, it's still going on. Oil and gas. I mean, oil price dropped significantly. Let me run through it. But then the winners or potential winners were e-commerce, agric. Everybody's got to eat.
Actually,
ICT, all our digital platforms, the data that people are consuming.
that was phenomenal.
I think MTN made pretty much all the
Windfall.
the
telcos
telcos actually made a lot of money in that period because everybody was buying
You were
data.
home watching Netflix or browsing or
Yes,
doing online classes or something of the sort.
all sorts of things were happening on that. If you had to do Zoom meetings or
That was big also.
It was also very big. Personal and health care, food processing and retail, and then medical supply services. So those were, if they can go to the slide that talks about the opportunity, the jobs landscapes in 2022.
This is slide number 9, right?
Yes,
Okay.
the jobs landscape, and it talks about the top 10 emerging jobs.
I'm
And the top 10
I'm very
declining.
interested in this. Spend a bit of time on this for me.
Okay.
So that our people listening to us will understand that we're talking about the future of work. What's going to happen? The way we work is changing. The way we do things is changing. But also even more important is the kind of jobs that are going to be relevant going into the future. What kind of jobs should you be looking at? If you're already in employment, great, you should be looking at doing that. But if you're not in employment, you're preparing to go into the world of creating jobs or employment, then you should begin to look at these things. If you're young, you're in school, you're listening to us, you're wondering, how exactly am I going to position myself to be relevant in the future?
Yeah.
This conversation is for you because, like you said, you didn't get that kind of guidance when
No.
you were there. But it's important now that people prepare for the future
Absolutely.
because that future is here.
Absolutely. When you it's like when, for instance, you there's a car, or you are aspiring to buy a car, maybe an Aston Martin or something. Suddenly, all the comms, all the pictures, everything that you see is geared towards that car.
Yeah.
It's the same with this conversation about future of work. Just yesterday, I happened to chance on a conversation with
Richard, do me a favor. Hold on to that thought for me. Interesting conversation, but we've just had some breaking news. I'd like to hand over. We're moving over to the news team now. Once this is done, we may come back to this conversation, but we want to move over straight to the news team. We hand over to Evans right now.
The events as they happen, when they happen, where they happen. Joy 99.7 FM, your most reliable news source.
And of course, some breaking news coming out of the police headquarters. It relates this running battle between the police and Parliament over the attempted arrest of the MP for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu. We have the latest on this, and the police in the last few minutes has confirmed to Joy News that they have now formally filed charges against the Member of Parliament, and he will be hauled before court on November 8th, to be very specific. I want to go live now to the police headquarters where my colleague Joseph Akable is standing by with the latest on this. Joseph, so this is now formal. The police are done doing the talking. They filed a formal charge now, and it appears the MP will be appearing before court.
That is according to ACP Kwesi Ofori, who is the Director General in charge of public affairs. And he granted us an interview shortly after having an interaction with some leading civil society organizations in Ghana. And the point he makes is that they have filed the summons already. They've sent the charges to the court. And so the date has been fixed for November 8th. And the question about what charges have been leveled against him, he says it has to do with unlawful blockade of road as well as destruction of public property. And that is the issue that they've been investigating the MP for quite some time now. And we all know of the disagreement that has occurred between them and Parliament. And so he says those charges have been filed and the MP is expected to show up in court on November 8th. The other issue that we put before him has to do with the issues that have arisen from that same event, that October 25 protest that took place at Medina. You recall that the MP's personal bodyguard has been interdicted, and again, the issues relating to whether some two police officers who had attempted to arrest him, you know that Parliament had extended an invitation to the two police officers to show up. ACP Kwesi Ofori tells us that invitation is yet to reach Parliament. And once it reaches Parliament, a firm decision will be taken as to whether these men should show up or not. We also know that in the last couple of hours, Parliament has issued a statement raising issues about the process that is being used against the Medina MP. Mr. Kwesi says time will tell whether that procedure they are using currently is right or not. But what he can tell us is that the latest is that the charges have been filed against the MP and they're expecting to show up in court on November 8th.
The latest is that the police have obtained criminal summons and have been duly served for him to appear in court on the 8th of November.
What are the charges against him?
As we enumerated, obstructing public highway, causing damage, among other things.
In terms of your men who are supposed to appear before Parliament, I mean, what generally does the police think about that particular invitation? And secondly, there's a statement from Parliament.
The invitation has officially not come to the attention of the administration.
But the men will be released to show up.
And when that comes, the administration may take a firm decision.
Parliament is raising issues about how you are going about the arrest of the MP. I mean, this afternoon they've issued a statement saying that they don't think you are using the right procedure.
The future might determine that.
And so, Joseph, they expect the MP to appear in court on the 8th of November.
That is so, Evans.
And again, they raise the question now. They have to serve this on him in person. We know the challenge have been the Speaker has said quite clearly the immunity poses some huge questions about the process. That is going to be a challenge going forward now that they've secured they formally filed these criminal charges.
If we are to understand closely what Mr. Kwesi said, ACP Kwesi said, he used the expression that filed and duly served. And in this relation, he was referring to the MP. And so our understanding from that interaction with him should be that service has raised the MP as to whether that will be honored will be matters that the MP will be in a position to tell. In terms of the civil society organizations that participate in this particular engagement, they had cause to comment on this particular issue as well. And they have been encouraging the police to go all out and do its work once they believe that they have probable cause to go ahead with it. Mr. Kofi Bentil, he spoke on behalf of the CSOs, and he says, as far as he's concerned, no one has immunity except the President of the Republic of Ghana. And so whoever believes that the police has to be allowed to do its work needs to submit when the police have reason to believe that they want to investigate the person, they want to arrest the person, or they want to ask questions of the person.
And Joseph, just before we go, just for clarity again, what are the criminal charges that the police have now filed against the Medina MP?
They said it relates to destruction of public property and unlawful blockade of a public road, and those are the charges that have been leveled against it.
Joseph, thank you very much. And just as this is happening, in the last hour or so, Parliament, the Parliamentary Service, under the authority of the Speaker, have also issued a strongly worded, detailed statement in which the Parliamentary Service describes the police's action as, quote, gross disrespect to the Honourable Speaker and Parliament. They also go on to say that it's thus disingenuous and a blatant affront to the Parliament of Ghana for the police service to ignore the aforementioned letter. This is the letter from the Speaker of Parliament indicating that Parliament will not be releasing the said Member of Parliament, Francis Xavier Susu, for the purposes the police had attempted to arrest him. The police say now, as we're just joining us, they've done talking, and they've done with the back and forth, and they have now gone ahead to file criminal charges against him. The understanding is that he may have been served already. We'll have to check that with the Member of Parliament if indeed he's been served. By the way, this is a major issue on the floor of Parliament as we speak currently. Let's quickly go to Parliament now. Let's speak to Parker Wilson, who's joining us with that angle to this developing story. Parker, this news is just coming from the police headquarters. Has it filtered through yet? Because it's coming shortly after the Speaker and the Parliamentary Service also issued their own strongly worded statement.
Yeah, so Evans, that's the information we picked up just a while ago, and of course, members of the House, the statement you referenced to with regards to the one from the Speaker, incensed over attempt by the police to arrest the Medina MP, even though he's referred the matter to the Privileges Committee. But fortunately for me, I have with me the board member of Parliament, Mr. Kofi Adams here, And the news coming in is that your colleague, Medina MP, has been charged. For you, your quick reaction on this, sir?
Well, I think for all this while, we've been indicating that nobody is opposed to the application of rule of law. What we want is that due processes be respected. And that if the police have decided to charge him, that's good. And he's prepared to go to court and then face the charges. Once they are able to serve him, you must also realize that service on him is going to go through another process. Because there are constitutional provisions to serve a sitting member of parliament. So they have to go through those processes. I would see how they would overcome that. And once they do that, he will be in court to answer to those charges that will be preferred against him.
So would the House, Parliament, vote to release him for him to go through the process? Because there has been a running battle between him and the police.
We haven't gotten there. I think the House problem has been infringing on his rights and the privileges that he has as a member of Parliament. That has been the worry of this House. And that's the matter that Mr. Speaker referred to the Privileges Committee to pry into and to make sure that they make a recommendation to plenary for us to take a final action on it. So now that we have been told that he's been charged, we are not opposed to the charge. We are not opposed at all. They find him, they will serve him, he will answer at the court. What we were opposed to is attempted arrest without going through Mr. Speaker first. And that is what we were worried about. And that is what we were opposed to. They are not opposed. If they have done their investigations and they feel that the investigations is enough for them to take to court, and then they want to prosecute the matter, fine.
I see, and finally from yesterday, I didn't see him in the chamber today. He's not in the chamber. Do you know his whereabouts currently?
Well, there are a lot of committee activities going on, so I believe that he may be in one of such meetings. Yesterday, myself, I came into the chamber. I sat for the first part of it, went for the committee meeting. By the time I got back, they have closed. So maybe he may also be in one of such committees engaging.
All right, so Evans, that's Kofi Adams. I don't know if you have any further questions for him, but for him, the House is ready to release us to go through the process now that we know that the police has officially charged him.
Paka, thank you very much. And that's it. That's the breaking news this afternoon. The police have now formally filed criminal charges, the unlawful blockade of the road and destruction to public property against the Medina MP, and is expected to appear before court on November 8th.
This is the Joy FM breaking news story.
Your favorite on-air business development program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook via the Joy 99.7 FM or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM or at Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302 216541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 0551 111997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
This is Masterclass. If you just tuned in. If you have any motor vehicle of any kind, Go has some great news for you. And Go is rewarding all of its prepaying Go customers with 2% discount per fuel every time you buy fuel. You also enjoy discounts on lubricants at Go stations nationwide. So elevate your goodness by joining the Go Club today and enjoy up to 3% liter discount on every fuel that you purchase. Masterclass today is brought to us by Goil. Goil Good Energy. Goil Yenara Yedia. It's also brought to us by Lancaster University, the only British university campus in all of West Africa. We want to go straight to the phone lines and get interactive. Today we're having a conversation here with Mr. Richard Osei Enim, and we're sort of broaching the conversation on the future of work. Surely you've had that conversation on how everything is changing and catalyzed even more so by COVID-19, the onset of COVID-19. So today the way we dress is changing, the way we work is changing, the way we shop is changing, the way we prepare ourselves is changing. Everything is changing today and everything is becoming fast. We used to talk about fast food and fast everything, but today is super fast everything. Numbers to call 0302216541. You can also send us your comments on 05511 11997. What has your experience as a business owner been? When you read on the internet, when you read World Fora reports, McKinsey reports on the internet, on Google, on LinkedIn, what is changing around you as CEO? And how do those changes affect your work? How are you going to position yourself in the next 5 years, the next 10 years? What are the significant changes that you are seeking to make or you are learning about so that you can position yourself and survive? Because change is inevitable. It is only those who refuse to change who will die out. But if you position yourself properly, then you will be in pole position. Numbers to call again, 0302 216 541. That's 0302 216 541. Or send us your comments on 055 1111997. We're also streaming live on Facebook. Richard, let's continue our conversation. And as the phone lines are open, the calls will come through. We'll try and fill them alongside as well. But let's try and deliver the remainder of the content as well, if we can.
Right, okay.
Cheers.
So I was just about talking about the changing nature of the structure of industry. So, for instance, a company like IKEA and say Walmart.
The furniture company.
It took them 70 years to hit revenues that Alibaba's Taobao achieved in 15 years.
Much longer.
The structure, I mean, Alibaba comes in with an e-commerce platform and they are able to deliver a retail experience or product that delivers revenue that equals that of a company that has been around for 70 years. That's just food for thought. I was talking about
15
years versus 70 years.
70.
So last night, I happened to chance on the Vice President's digitalization agenda and one of the quotes that I picked up was, suddenly, you've got national ID, you've got addressing system, you've got NHI. I mean, all these convergence of data. He goes, having put together these large databases as a result of digitization, our focus would now turn inter alia to data analytics through big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning, to provide solutions to many challenges we face. We will leverage on the progress we have made with digitalization to drive innovation for the youth. If anybody is looking for an opportunity to think about what is going to happen in the next 4 or 5 years, this is a space to be thinking about. The growing job demands, data analysts and scientists, AI machine learning specialists, big data specialists, digital marketing and strategy specialists, process automation specialists, business development professionals, digital transformation specialists, information security analysts, software and application developers, and Internet of Things specialists. I mean, I'll be talking about vocational and technical education in the next 2-3 weeks. But imagine you being in a technical school today and you're repairing fridges that are, what's the word? They are not smart. What do you call it? Analog. You come out. So how do you feel going through an education system where the curriculum that you engaged in
is obsolete?
It's obsolete by the time you graduate.
Let's say it slowly. You pay money to school fees to learn a course that by the time you finish learning it, it is useless to the world. That's what we're talking about.
If people miss anything, there are two things I talked about. If an algorithm replaces your job today, what would you do? And if you're studying in school now and the curriculum you're studying, by the time you graduate, it is not fit for purpose. What do you do?
So for the student who's listening to us who says, I don't get to choose the curriculum, but I'm learning it anyway. Now there's the internet, right? So you can learn alongside, read other things.
There's Coursera, there's Udemy, there's one gig I got last week said I should be a content architect. I just went on Udemy, picked a course for 85. Within 2-3 hours, I had a fair idea what the course was about or what they asked me to do, and if I'd pursued it, followed the whole thing, I would have ended up with a certificate.
Wow. I see on your slide, and for those of us who are watching us live on Facebook, they are the top 10 declining, and this one is not prophecy. It's just based on data. You spoke about data.
Yeah.
I will come back to the top 10 emerging areas.
Yeah.
Again, we'll go over it again. But let's talk about the top 10 declining areas. If you are in any of these fields, we are not saying that you are in a bad place. What we are saying is that if you're already there, you're already there. Just add value to yourself and let's look at. But if you are now going there, you can do something different.
It's about rethinking retooling, and retraining.
Rethinking,
retooling, and retraining.
Retraining.
So data entry clerks, accounting, bookkeeping, payroll.
If you're a data entry
clerks.
clerk, it's fine. Add more value. But if you are looking to become a data entry clerk, we are saying that it's on the top 10 declining job lists across the world in the next, how many years? 15, 20 years?
No, this is about 5 years. In
the next 5 years, across the world, data entry will become, because the computers are, now you can, I figured out, did you know that you can talk to, so a friend calls me and says, yeah, my 8-year-old son is on the computer in the study all the time, and I'm wondering how did he learn to type?
Yeah.
So one time I went there and I realized that so many windows were open. The boy doesn't know how to type. He goes on Google and finds out that there's a microphone on the Google taskbar. So he talks to the computer.
Speech recognition.
Find gummy bears on YouTube. Then the computer talks back. Gummy bears on YouTube, playing now. 7-year-old kids are doing this. You cannot still be doing data entry.
I cite an example of my 2-year-old niece playing around with the tablets. And I come to Accra and I go to a place like Choco. It's an alien concept. But we'll talk about education, but let's run through this quickly.
Please.
Data entry clerks, accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll clerks. In fact, the IBM Watson, can actually do, these accounting
forecast
models, forecast, cash flows, business. I mean, it's intelligent enough to do that. In Allen and Overy, a top legal firm in the UK, they are using AI to deal with case law. So paralegals will become extinct.
Automated.
So
now computers are now doing that.
Yes. I mean, to cite the case law, they can actually go across jurisdictions and look at cross-reference. Okay, administrative and executive secretaries, assembly and factory workers, client information, customer service workers, business services and admin managers, accountants.
When you spoke about factory workers, it reminds me of a documentary I saw about something as simple as tin tomato.
Yeah.
And along the production line, hitherto there were human beings making sure that it's packed properly. The computer is cutting the tins, is mixing the
precision
is filling it, is washing it, is dusting it up, is packing it, and is loading it.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier on that I had an encounter in a restaurant. My only intervention with a human being was when they came to serve the food. So you go in, you the barcode, you choose whatever you want, and then it goes into a kitchen. Whatever is prepared, you have no, and even in some restaurants there are robots going around actually serving.
Anyway, the other side of the conversation, maybe we'll talk about that later, but we should save a bit of our humanity. Okay, so now we're number 6 of top 10 declining jobs.
Yes. Business services, accountants, auditors, we've talked about. Material recording and stock keeping clerks. General operations managers. Postal service clerks. I mean, our PNT pretty much is. I mean, when was the last time you actually wrote
a letter?
A
Emojis have replaced that. Emojis have replaced. But let's go back to the top 10. So the top 10.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in the world 5-10 years from now? Top 10 places to look at.
Data analysts and scientists.
Wow.
AI, machine learning specialists. Big data specialists, and that's going to happen right here in Ghana with all the data, the reams and reams of data that we have.
The source of this information is the World Economic Forum.
Yes, so it's looking at it globally. This is not. We used to say, I don't know if it's still valid, but we used to say when America sneezes, the rest of the world we catch a cold.
We catch a cold, yes.
But this is globalization in its full extent. It's going to hit us. So I think it's a question of people. Shifting their mindsets. The conversation over the next 3-4 weeks is about, look, we should start thinking seriously about the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And also for your kids in school, what sort of skills should they be thinking about?
Getting?
Top 10 skills, 2025, analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, originality and initiative, leadership and social influence, technology use, monitoring and control, technology design and programming, resilience, stress tolerance and flexibility. Are you able to work with different people from different backgrounds, from different cultures? Are you globally employable? Can you live here and go and work in a place like, say, India or Bahrain? Or, I mean, are you a global citizen? And a big issue now is about climate change and global warming and
the
so
world
on.
climate change is ongoing now.
It's ongoing now. And what sort of, how are we shaping the minds of our youth and kids in schools on some of these things? And the last, reasoning, problem solving, and ideation.
Wow.
So if these are the skills that
Are required for the
required
future.
of the future, the students. I mean, I have a whole thing on teachers that we'll talk about. What you call it? Then the teachers that are teaching them, are they fit for purpose?
It means that we need to start adding some value.
You know, so if you're expecting your kids to have these types of skills, then whoever is delivering education is a person fit for purpose. These
But
are some of
thank
the
God
conversations
that
we
the
have.
channel of education today is not just one. And you mentioned the number of
You're right.
channels.
You're right. I mean, the online, there are some that are doing, there are even situations where people are on campus, but take the first year of their course fully online. Okay. They are looking at options where people have a balance between doing some face-to-face, what do you call it? Because yes, we're social beings. The interaction with your I mean, campus life and semester. I mean, all that goes on in Commonwealth and these other halls, you will miss if you did everything. That's part of the university experience. So it's about striking a balance between having the face-to-face, what do you call it? And there's even research that says that cohort-based learning is proven to be a lot more effective than individual learning.
I suppose it's the external motivation it comes with.
External motivation, a little bit of competition, the engagement, the sort of a social interaction is very key.
So, in summary, what does this mean to, first of all, the business owner today in Ghana? Seeing as the playing field has started to change. I won't say it's going to change. Has started to change. What's one of the should I say, identifiable impacts to the business owner in Ghana today?
This old adage of adapt or die. We scientists said the only the strongest, what do you call it, survive.
Yeah.
Your ability to adapt to change. So if everybody is shifting online, or everybody's, one of the things I do not have patience for is waiting to pay, what do you call it, tap and go. And if everybody has that system and you are not converting to that kind of system, how relevant, you're going to become obsolete. What sort of skills are you giving to your staff? How are you preparing them for the future? Is your business in an industry which could become obsolete? We were talking about a company earlier on that when we were kids, it was a very vibrant company.
Indeed.
We're talking about succession planning. We're talking about, I mean, businesses go bad all the time, but there are all sorts of things that interventions that can take place for you to survive. But this thing about adapt or die is very real. So
it's absolutely important for business owners. If you're listening to us, you're a business owner. What we're saying is that generally today we've introduced the conversation and we sort of touched on a sphere of things that are changing across the world. These are not things that are far away. These are not things that are in tomorrow. They are in today. They've already started. So begin to educate yourself as a business owner. Read. There's a lot of information going on. The World Economic Forum, the World Climate Forum is going on. Things are changing. The way you do things is changing. The Internet of Things. We're talking about the future of work. You're a work provider. People come to you and they earn a living from you. But very soon, if you don't put yourself in the right place, you're going to become obsolete.
Yeah.
Going away from today's conversation, what should people remember if they forget anything at all? And what are we looking forward to next week? Before you answer that, Ike from the USA. Ike, good afternoon to you. Thank you always. He's always listening. Ike says, can you broaden the conversation to international job opportunities because we're now in a global village. Ike, we definitely will. I only sort of bring it home to Ghana whenever we talk because I like it to be relevant to the Ghanaian economy. But yes, the synopsis of this conversation will stretch to include everything else. And in fact, today we started laying that foundation, making it international.
I think for us going forward, we're looking at the future of work boot camps, future of work diagnostics, where you can take a diagnostic and see what sort of gaps you have and what sort of learnings that you need to plug yourself in to support your learning area. But for everybody in this, for the worker, somebody in the gig economy, self-employed, even the business owner, it's your ability to be flexible, open to change, flexible mindset, and your willingness to learn, continuous learning, what the Japanese call kaizen. That continuous learning and exploring, because really when you stand still, that is the end of your business.
That's the end of it. Ike wants us to go through the top 10 jobs declining and ascending. Ike, we've run out of time, but please, I promise you this. We will do this again next week as part of our opening, yes?
Yeah.
Top 10 jobs which are to look forward to in the future and ones which are declining. But Ray J also says, what's the difference between digitalization and digitization?
Funny enough, I saw this thing on Facebook this afternoon. Digitization, digitizing material, codes, data, and so. But digitalization about business processes.
Okay, there you go. There you go. So the one with the L is about processes. The one without the L, it's the
processing of data.
The data processing and all of that. But where you have applied it in its application, it becomes digitalization.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. We ran out of time. What do we look forward to next week?
Next week we'll be talking about early childhood development. The research there is fascinating because the kinds of investments that needs to go into early childhood to make it sustainable, to yield. I like the fit and proper test. Fit and proper, what do you call it? Employer in the future. We look at primary education, look at secondary, and then tertiary education. If we have time, we will look at technical vocational. It's an interesting space for me because in our environment, technical vocational education is not considered sexy. How do we make it attractive to what if you don't fare well in secondary, say go technical school or go and.
But there's a place for it. And I think you gave a statistic of about 2% of the American population now into farming, whereas it used to be 60%.
6%, yeah.
So much information to share on the future of work. Next week, we definitely will come back. But have you always wondered why kids who watch cartoons these days speak in a certain way? Chew on that. We'll come back again next week. We're back on your radio with Masterclass. Thank you for listening, and see you same time next week.